Last 2 weeks, Bennett and I share with you an incredible two-part series with Christopher Lochhead. In episodes 203 and 204, if you haven't had the chance to go back and listen to that, I highly encourage you to do so. During our conversation with Christopher, we bring up a podcast episode inspired by Commander Divine's visit to New York's ZEN Mountain Monastery. In this episode, me, Bennett, and Andrew visit the ZEN Mountain Monastery, and we hope you enjoy this episode we pull out of the Change Your POV Podcast archives. Not clear in my mind, but I have practice.
Because it's
controlling,
not about, it really isn't about not thinking
right,
about things.
It isn't, no.
It's not, that's not what it's about. And people think, oh, I can't meditate because I can't clear my head. No, that's part of the idea. And even if you can count to 10, it's still about remaining in the present. Yep. It's not about drifting. It's still about bringing yourself into the present and bringing yourself back.
Welcome to Change Your POV Podcast, helping you navigate transitions in your life, like entering and exiting college or the military, changing jobs or careers, and providing you with the coaching and mentorship needed to help you advance in your personal or professional life. Sometimes all you need is to change your point of view. Now, here's your host, Eddie Lazary.
All right, folks, welcome to Change Your POV Podcast. We are going to do something different this episode, something we've never done before. Bennett and myself and a gentleman that is now doing the 60-Day Well-Fit Challenge with us, Andrew McDowell, we all joined up at the ZEN Mountain Monastery in New York, just outside of Woodstock. And after our session at the monastery, we actually broke into some private property somewhere, found an outlet, a picnic table. I brought my computer along with a microphone, and we decided to record our experience in a live session. So we've never done this before, and turns out the ZEN Mountain Monastery actually has a podcast, and they recorded the episode that we attended. And so I had the opportunity to strip out some of the audio from their podcast and sprinkle it in throughout this episode. So this episode is a bit longer than normal. However, it is quite a bit different, and it's a good one. So if you are into meditation, or you're thinking about it, or you're just wondering what the hell we are doing with regard to meditation, it's a good episode. So without further ado, let's just get into this interview already in progress. Enjoy. All right. Folks. Spitting everywhere. Talk there, Andrew.
Hello.
Okay.
Greetings.
Bennett.
Hello.
All right. So let's just kick it off. Hello, folks. Welcome to Change Your POV Podcast. I am your host, Eddie Lazary.
And I'm Bennett.
And we've got a special guest,
Andrew McDowell.
And we're doing something we've never done before. We're doing a live, in-person episode. We're in upstate New York. We'll get into why we're here.
Sort of upstate.
Kind of. It's in
Woodstock.
Woodstock,
actually.
yeah. No, we're not up here for a concert smoking ganja.
Haven't seen Dylan yet.
Nope. Although
lots of dudes that look like him, though.
I guarantee you there's people that we saw today that were here for Woodstock back in the 60s.
Just never left.
And never left.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty sure.
Pretty sure.
No doubt.
All right, so, so let's just get into why. All right, so we've never done this before, folks, and yeah, it should be fun. Okay, so let's get into this. We're in Woodstock because we decided to go to
the ZEN Mountain Monastery.
ZEN Mountain Monastery to do some meditation and other things.
Zen meditation. So,
first, who's Andrew? Everybody's wondering who the hell Andrew
doesn't
is.
matter.
Okay.
I'm not that important.
So, Andrew.
Tell us about yourself, Andrew.
Well, so everyone's aware of our 60-Day Well-Fit Challenge. And Andrew and his brother, which could not be here today, unfortunately, are members of our 60-day WellFit Challenge. And that was kind of part of, I wouldn't say part of the challenge, but this is kind of our we're halfway there. And so we decided to try to get together halfway through. And Bennett's from New York, and I'm from New Hampshire, and Andrew's from Massachusetts.
Yep.
And so we all got together one fine Sunday morning and decided to go do some chanting and meditating and interesting things. and so that's here we are. So
Eddie and I have been meaning to come here for a while.
Yes, we have been.
So just a quick background though. The ZEN Mountain Monastery is a Zen Buddhist monastery and training center in the Catskill Mountains in Mount Tremper, New York. Founded in 1980 by John Laurie is his name, originally as the Zen Arts Center. So, yeah, man, it's pretty gorgeous. 230-acre forested property. The buildings were cool, like cool
it was an old
architecture.
church.
Yeah, like an old church, but
Yep.
it really lent to a pretty cool facility, you know?
Right. And the Zen Mountain Monastery also has a podcast, and I don't know if they record every single session or what, but if they happen to record our session, I'm going to try to
Pull some stuff
snake some audio out of there and kind of sprinkle it in throughout our episode here. We'll see how that goes. But
because it was an experience.
It was.
It was different.
It was definitely. So before we get into that,
Why do we say different?
yeah, I don't know.
It was different, though.
So just tell everybody who you are, Andrew. You got a light introduction, but
Sure. So I know Bennett and Eddie through a mutual friend, Mike Penny.
oh, that's painful to hear.
Yeah, I know. Mike and I worked together for a while, and
Where'd you guys work together at?
Best Buy.
Oh, so you did work there.
Yeah.
So we were right.
Okay.
Yep, when we were both slinging TVs,
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
and I helped train Penny, and I realized he wasn't
All there.
all there.
Yeah.
But wasn't the average person that we've seen come in, and he and I got to be buddies over hunting and fishing and shooting and kind of all that good stuff. And I sort of came into this whole thing by way of helping out with Cigars and Sea Stories and some of that other stuff. I'm as civilian as they come, but
You're a non-veteran.
I'm a non-veteran.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But I've always felt drawn to this community and trying to help out where I can.
So let me ask you.
Yeah.
Was working with Penny, was that the first time you dealt with like a combat veteran coming out of Iraq, Afghanistan?
No, out of Iraq and Afghanistan, sure. But no, even that technically no. I had a buddy friends of a friend who was an Army veteran. He was civil affairs, and he deployed to Iraq. But I'd had experience with veterans before. So my grandfather was a World War II vet, and then when I was a teenager, I worked for an internet center, and it was attached to a senior living facility. One of the guys who came in and I got to be friendly with was a guy named Armando Lopes, and he was a 3rd Armored vet, and he fought from Normandy all the way through, and he got shot right when they were crossing the Rhine, and he and I got to be buddies, and that sort of kicked it all off. And then in the post-September 11th world, kind of all came home again as these guys, as folks were coming home, and I felt a call to serve in some meaningful way.
Cool. Did you notice, and you can be brutally honest,
Yeah.
Penny won't mind, right? I'm speaking for Penny, but
It's true, though.
so did you notice him struggle with trying to reintegrate or come back into the civilian, or so-called non-military world at all?
I'm thinking, there were, I don't want to say struggles, but maybe disconnects between his experiences, in the Marines and kind of at times the expectations or the rigors or the standards that we had at Best Buy. But, he seemed to get it pretty quick. We had a manager who was difficult. I'd call him a pain in the ass, but I think Penny got that. He used to say, inspect what you expect, and that sort of drove it home and kind of helped. Certainly for me, kind of bridge the gap there. But I think that it was a good store. There was a lot of camaraderie, and I think that helped. I never really saw him struggle. But then again, I wouldn't have known what to look for at the time.
Right. Yep. That's for sure. There's a lot of veterans come back and they do struggle, but a lot of their struggles are internal struggles, and they do their best not to display it externally, because we care about things like losing our jobs like everyone else. So, yeah, man, I get it. So, okay, so now we got that connection.
Yeah.
What was the draw to join us on our 60-day challenge?
So I had participated around the fringes of the 30-day challenge, and I thought it was pretty cool. And then I'm doing a Spartan race with you guys on November 12th, and I kind of needed 2 kicks in the ass. So the first one, I started raising money for Warrior Hall, and that was a push. But another one, I was training by myself, and it just wasn't doing it. So this was a great kind of group but structured approach that really kind of spoke to me, and I think so far it's working out pretty good.
It's been easier, or I know we're going to have you on the show separately to kind of get into more of these 60-day WellFit Challenge specific questions, but just to kind of set the tone for why we are here today, just briefly, what so far, we're only about halfway through, has this challenge been easier, harder, enlightening? Like, what's been an experience so far?
It's really varied day to day. Overall, it's been really challenging. I really like bread. I really like, chips. I like all that shit. And, I'm used to eating what I want to eat when I want to eat it, and making the change from the typical American diet, right? I mean, there's no other way of putting it, to something that is more wholesome and healthful and clean and complete. What was a struggle for me. I live nearby the best brewery in America, Jack's Abbey, and we go there every Tuesday night, and it's brutal. They have awesome pizza and awesome wings, and 50% of that isn't on the table for me. So it's the kind of the small struggles every day that have been really difficult. But once you acclimate and adapt, it's in my opinion at least pretty straightforward and enlightening.
Yeah. So this is obviously it's the premise of exercising moderately and eating clean, but then there's this whole other element that we didn't even really advertise, and that was this element of self-actualization and introspection, getting to know oneself, and that's really why we decided to do this here today at the ZEN Mountain Monastery. Just gives us a chance to all meet up and kind of be together and experience something together, but 2, to kind of help teach us different methods or at least any methodologies for coming to this self-actualization. So in that regard, because we do the daily journaling and the weekly journaling, and of course things like this and meditation, has any of that kind of been beneficial so far, or been different than you expected in this challenge?
I don't in my day-to-day life do a ton of introspection. I kind of wake up in the morning and go to work, and then come home and sit around and do it. So that that aspect of it has really been pretty novel for me, and I think has been helpful. I haven't been as good at the daily journaling as maybe I should have been or should be, and it's something to work on going forward. But I think that the thing that's kind of been most enlightening and challenging and interesting for me have been the weekly challenges. I was on vacation, and these gentlemen, I use the term loosely, I was in the Yukon, and I was about a 2-mile walk from the Yukon River. So these guys challenged me to do a little bit of a polar plunge up there.
Jump in the river.
I literally jumped in the river. It was moving about 8-9 miles an hour. I'm a pretty strong swimmer, but not that strong, so it was definitely a challenge. And stuff like that has been really interesting, and I think has made me think in different ways.
Push you out of the comfort zone.
Yeah. So that's what today is too. I've never done any formal meditation or been to a monastery, done any of this. So this was my first rodeo. So we decided to link up here. We both, or all three of us, had to leave our houses around, 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yep.
In order to be here for 8:45. And so we get here. Let me just set the stage here, because it's hard to explain this drama just in just words without having any real. But we'll take some pictures so you can all see it in the show notes page. So we're all, when I say all, there must have been 60 some people there.
Easy.
60, 80 people.
Well, let's see. We got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'd say there was probably 15 per row.
Easy.
Yeah.
And then there was 6 rows, and then there was people on the walls too and chairs. So,
right.
Yeah, somewhere between 60 and
100 people, maybe.
Yeah, probably pretty close to 90.
Yeah,
60 to 90.
So there's a good number of folks, and I can't even begin to describe all the different walks
of folks.
Yep. Yeah. Of demographics, ages, just.
It was definitely a cross section of society.
Yep.
Yeah, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Had a couple octogenarians there.
Yeah, for sure.
So, of course, all right. So we all show up, and most people that are there, they're like regular patrons. I don't know
practicing Buddhists.
Practicing and lay people.
Yeah.
Because you could see them. They all had their outfits on.
Yeah. So they have outfits. It's basically the long sleeve,
like robe,
ankle length
like
gray robe.
Yeah, samurai kind of.
Like imagine that Tom Cruise movie, The Last Samurai, and
yes,
those things that they wore.
Right.
Yeah. Imagine that in a plethora of colors from tan or white all the way to black.
White, gray, black, and so it was all pretty much just earthy, dark,
which I
somber.
think had something to do with rank.
How long they were, their progression.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure.
And then out of nowhere, there's this guy wearing this freaking long sleeve orange shirt.
Because real veterans wear orange. Damn it.
Okay, so you can just picture about 100 people wearing more or less grays, neutral grays.
I think there was one guy that had like a turquoisey blue shirt on.
Yeah, and then
there's Blaze Orange Boy.
And then there's Bennett.
There's some plaid in there too.
And we're talking like fucking
Syracuse orange, baby.
We're talking like hunting orange, right?
Don't shoot me orange.
It's freaking
no joke. Man.
So it was not hard to find you, no matter where we were in that little event. So I just got to say thanks for bringing some color to the day.
You're welcome. Because I was wondering about that. I was like, God, it's like really dreary. And then the only thing that had any color were like the flowers on the wall and stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm just a beautiful little flower on the wall. So
yeah, it was awesome.
No one seemed to be offended by my bright orange shirt, but I was like, man, these people got no damn color in their lives. Or is that on purpose? That's what I was thinking. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe they find the color distracting. So whatever.
So this isn't just any other monastery.
I mean, it's like hardcore. Like these dudes, like some of them, like live there, work there, eat there. Like they're there. What the hell?
Monastery.
Yeah, but it's like they're
monastic.
Monastic.
Yep.
There you
they're
go.
straight up monastic.
Yeah,
and
there's like chicks there with like bald heads,
shaved heads.
Shaved their heads because they're actual practitioners.
Did you hear? So they had just come off a week of silent reflection, like no talking for a week.
No talking for 7 days.
I couldn't do it.
Wow, man.
I could do it. I'd love that, actually.
Really?
I might have to be part of the crew next year.
Let me know when that happens.
I will.
So they got. You can actually sign up to live there for like a month, and then there's a year program, and then there's like a much longer program than that. Like if you want to do it for. So we get there, and none of us really know what we're doing, which is fine.
So we kind of go with it.
Yeah, so we go in there, and the first thing they have us do is they got these like flat pillows and then these cushions, right? Mm-hmm. And then so we're all standing there, and then they'll pass out the little mantra books.
Yep. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? But we all rolled with it. It was cool as shit. So literally we got these little books and we were, doing the shit with them, like reading it. And once you got it, it made complete sense.
Once you figured out where you were in the liturgy, it was like,
and even the words though, they made sense. Like you kind of got why you were chanting this.
Yep.
Not that it was not out of the comfort zone. I rolled with it. I was wondering about you two. He was rolling with it because I could hear him.
I was just going,
I love this stuff so much. It was awesome.
It was weird. I gotta say.
Okay, because I figured you would be.
Well,
I kind of figured you'd be like, wait a minute.
Well, once I found, like you said, Ender, once I found my place, in the mantra, and I could follow along. It was weird saying the words broken up into syllables, though.
Yeah.
That took a little bit getting used to, but
when it comes down to it, it's no different than like going to church.
Yeah,
and,
I was going to
singing
say,
and singing hymns,
right?
Except for you're literally reciting a mantra,
right? And since it was my first time doing that, I was more focused on
uncomfortable a little bit.
Yeah, I was more focused on, am I doing it right? Am I saying and I really wasn't paying attention to what the words actually were saying or meaning. So I don't really honestly know what the hell it is we were saying.
But what it comes down to too is that it doesn't really matter.
No,
like you went with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what anyone thinks because they're looking at you like you have a bright orange shirt on, asshole. It doesn't matter. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So no, and I'm just using that as general terms, is that they know. It's just like the lady at the front desk. Actually, I liked her. She was cool.
She was cool.
So she was like, "Yep, there's gonna be a whole lot of chanting and blah blah-ing and blah." And she goes, basically, there's no wrong way to do it. So just go up there
with it.
And just go with it.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. I meant to grab some literature when we walk out too, but I forgot. But anyway, I'm sure I can get everything off the website.
Oh yeah.
So then we did that whole intro kind of thing, and then they made an announcement. Everyone that's here for the first time, go into the side room that was called the Buddha room.
The Buddha room.
And that was pretty cool little room. Like I could hang out there and meditate.
And I've been into many like side rooms in my day, but they're usually called like the champagne room or some other thing, right?
And there's like like Lil Jon playing in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Pop champagne.
And you have like one song in there, and then they make you leave.
Yeah,
exactly.
Anyway, so.
But this was different.
This was different.
Very different.
And there was a I guess, monk.
I think he was like a trainee, though.
A trainee, and she was like full-fledged, like one
she
of the
was
ones
like
in
ninja.
charge. She was like a Zen ninja.
Yeah.
But cool.
Yeah.
Very smiley.
She reminded me of Yoda.
Very serious. Yes. To an extent,
like
I would concur with you.
Like if her robes were green instead of black.
Yeah, I would have been.
Straight Yoda, dude.
Had a little stick.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're Yoda. But cool, very nice.
Yep.
But I thought he did a very good job at explaining Zen meditation and what's expected and all of that. Eddie found a really good way of doing his sitting position that I'm sure you're going to go home and build.
I'm going to go make one of those. It's like a little, I don't even know how to describe it.
It's like a little bench.
It's like a little bench. So if you get on your knees, instead of sitting square back on your heels, you slip this little bench that's got like a 45-degree angle underneath your ass, and it's just literally wide enough for your feet to go underneath it.
And it was wicked comfortable.
It was very comfortable.
Once I lose a couple more pounds, for me, once I probably lose another 30 pounds, I'll probably love it.
Yeah.
But my legs started...
I kept sliding off.
Oh, did you?
I've got Irish Jewish ass, so I just...
You got the back with the crack?
Yep.
Yeah, all right.
Yep. I
understand.
Boom, over.
So... I really liked it too, though. But for me, I just need to lose a little bit more weight to be comfortable with that. But the whole cross-legged lotus thing, that ain't happening. Then the third option was just basically sitting cross-legged with, you know what, and that was actually pretty damn
It's pretty comfortable.
with a pillow under your ass.
Right. What's it called? Do you remember what that's called?
I don't remember.
Like a special name for it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't remember. But then I ended up, because we ran out of pillows out in the what would you call that?
The main stage
chapel
area?
or whatever you
Yeah,
would call it. You know, it wasn't a chapel.
The
but
meditation space.
Yes, there you go. The ceremonial space or whatever. They ran out of pillows, so Andrew and I had to grab chairs. But I'll tell you what, man. I don't know how long we meditated.
I think it was like 15, 20 minutes.
It was long enough for both of my legs to be completely numb below
Because
the knees.
you didn't grab a bench, did you?
No, I didn't grab a bench, and there wasn't enough space for me to actually sit Indian
Which
style.
is
So I
unfortunate.
was, yeah.
Because my meditation was pretty awesome. I have to admit.
It went. It was
Really?
incredible.
I flowed with it, man.
I tried, man, but I was focused more on like the pain in my legs,
so
and I
you
was trying to
focused
block
on
it
and
out.
You tried to block it out, and
Yeah.
you tried to do what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Well, see, I had these itches that I kept getting, and I did not scratch them, and I like focused on them, like he was saying, to focus on annoyances or pains, and they went away, dude. I was like, oh shit! Like I'm a pretty, svelte meditator. You know what I mean? Because I meditate every day. It's a different type of meditation.
Sure.
But I like it, man. So
Like
I'm
they
definitely gonna. I guess when it comes down to it, I'm gonna incorporate the actual meditation part of Zen meditation into my repertoire.
Yeah.
Because I really liked it.
Well, it was funny. Before we walked in, I was saying to you the closest I ever get to like really Zen meditating is sitting in the woods when I'm hunting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like for me, I turned it off. Like I turned off my head and I was just there.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, they were ringing the bell. Wake up,
and you're like,
go to
holy
lunch.
shit.
Yeah.
Man, it was pretty cool. I was there was a couple times there was a kid playing outside or something.
Dogs barking.
But it's, you kind of look at it like that's a rep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so the way they recommend you to do it is you breathe in and you count 1, and you breathe out and you count 2, and you just focus on counting your breathing. And if a thought comes into your head, you accept it, you dismiss it, and then you start over at 1. And I couldn't get past 3. I was like,
you know what?
I had to keep starting over.
Say, I guess I got to 10.
Did you?
I did.
Me too.
Wow. Cheater.
But that's because I think I've done it. But it wasn't, I literally didn't get distracted. I literally did not have a thought come into my head other than concentrating on my breathing. That was it.
Wow.
And people will say, oh, you never get to 10, but I did.
I came in and out a few times, but
I
was getting to 10.
It wasn't every time.
Yeah.
I wasn't like recycling every single time, but
I think that's my biggest problem is I
there was a few times.
Yeah, I got to learn how to not clear my mind, but I have to practice.
Because it's
controlling,
not about, it really isn't about not thinking about
right,
things.
It isn't,
and
no.
It's not, that's not what it's about. And people think, oh, I can't meditate because I can't clear my head. No, that's part of the idea. And even if you can count to 10, it's still about remaining in the present.
Yep.
It's not about drifting off. It's still about bringing yourself into the present and bringing yourself back.
Right.
So that was very cool. That's the best takeaway of the day for that. Now,
well, we came out.
The pomp and the ceremony of it all is a bit much.
Yep.
That was way more ceremonious than I expected.
Yep.
I don't know what I expected, but
but it wasn't that.
There was a ton of like bells and
marching,
which
and
I knew about the bells,
sticks, and
I knew about the bells and the bowls and that type of thing, but
and the bowing 3 times and all that.
All that stuff is kind of, I won't go there. Not really. But the other part, But then we had
when we first came out of the Buddha room, all 100 people
were
literally
around.
Just doing what's called walking meditation.
Yeah, and it's kind of like
it's like a counter column, like in the military.
Just to kind of like meditate in the present, just kind of like to remain being present while moving,
right?
Basically. So it was kind of cool too.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
We did not participate.
No,
in that,
we just watched that.
It's like walking through the woods, basically.
And then today was a special day, I guess. They don't do this very often.
No, it's once a year.
Once a year they do this?
Once a year.
Wow.
So I don't even know what the actual name of
Darma Encounter was what they were calling it.
Yeah, a Darma Encounter.
Darma Encounter.
Yeah.
So basically, to describe this, they just say get online, and whoever wants to meet with the abbot,
Mm-hmm.
the main dude there, they would get into this line, single file line, in the kneeling position,
and ask him a question.
And then they would take their turns, and they would walk up to him and ask. So he told us a story.
Yep.
And we'll kind of summarize the story, because what he wanted everybody to do is to ask their question. And if you hear that noise in the background,
It's because we're in the woods.
yeah, we are deep in the woods. Like, we thought Bennett was taking us to our freaking early
right.
graves.
Devil's Rejects.
I just heard the banjos from Deliverance.
That's right.
So we tried to look it up on our phone, but I couldn't find it. But there was this ancient shaman or
Well, he's
A Zen master.
Zen master
from the 13th century.
yeah, he wrote some Dharma thing or something, and so our main dude, he kind of read it, and he wanted the people in the you like that?
Freaked out that like monkeys are gonna start throwing shit at us or something. He was basically talking about fish in water, birds in the air, and how the water is infinite and the air is infinite, but yet how they limit.
Yeah,
The
so
bird
like,
is limited in its understanding.
well, it's like
whatever.
so the fish. Do you have it?
Yeah, I found it. Dojin Zenji.
Oh, that's it.
Yep. A fish swims in the ocean, and
When a fish swims in the ocean, there's no limit to the water, no matter how far it swims. When a bird flies in the sky, there's no limit to the air, no matter how far it flies. However, no fish or bird has ever left its element since the beginning. When the need is large, it's used largely. When the need is small, it's used then in a small way. Thus, no creature ever comes short of its own completeness, and wherever it stands, it does not fail to cover the ground. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, limitless, unbounded self-nature. Infinite space, boundless sky, ocean without horizon. There is no limit to water or sky, Master Dogen says. If that's so, then why has no fish or bird ever left its element? Is that freedom or is that constraint? What is the water and air? I'll leave it up to you to understand the fish and the bird. Why do we encounter limits if we ourselves are within a boundless, limitless universe? Being without limit, why then does Dogen speak of a large need and a small need? What is he speaking about there? And what does that mean to use it largely or in a small way within a limitless, boundless element? And then the last couple of lines, given the perception of our own shortcomings, the things that create suffering, our attachments, the things that we struggle with, that we practice. On what basis, given that that's a very human, a universal experience, on what basis does he say no creature ever comes short of its own completeness? If we are each complete, then why are we so convinced of and even committed to our own sense of incompleteness? And really, what is complete? No creature comes short of its own completeness. What does completeness mean? When we're struggling, falling, coming up short, how is that covering the ground upon which we stand? In other words, when everything seems precarious, when there's doubt and insecurity, when the world is shifting, and we have trouble meeting it in accord how is it then to be covering the ground upon which we stand? What does that mean? And so this is what I wanted to focus on. So let me just read the lines again. When a fish swims in the ocean, there is no limit to the water, no matter how far it swims. When a bird flies in the sky, there's no limit to the air, no matter how far it flies. However, no fish or bird has ever left its element since the beginning. When the need is large, it's used largely. When the need is small, it's used in a small way. No creature ever comes short of its own completeness. Wherever it stands, it does not fail to cover the ground. So let's look at that and try and understand more deeply what Master Dogen is speaking.
All right, so that's what he read, and then everybody that came up in line, we're supposed to like ask a question and then reflect on what this meant to them. And I don't know, must have been 12 or so people that...
Not even.
No?
Like 8.
But they like fought to get into positions. Like, did you see that they like jumped up and ran?
Yeah, and all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them.
Well, because that dude to them is like a rock star too.
Yeah.
Right, you could tell they were extremely nervous.
Oh yeah.
Just being in his presence.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the one guy, the first black guy.
Yeah.
African American guy.
But for whatever reason, I could not...
I think he was a veteran too, by the way.
Was he?
Just saying.
Mm.
Yeah, pretty sure he was.
I could not figure out what any of them were talking about. I was trying to relate. I just couldn't find the connection between what Andrew just read to what they were saying.
So here was my complete take on all of it. I got what some of the people were saying, and unfortunately, I was like, oh my God. Talk about first world problems, dude.
Yeah, right.
Like I was like, are you freaking kidding me right now with like this is what you're gonna get in front of this guy
right
and ask about.
So the fish has never left its element, the bird has never left its element. You asked, is that freedom or is that limited? I'd say neither. I would say that at that moment it's the fish, the bird, or forget the fish and the bird. At that moment, we're not aware of freedom or limitation. We're just, in fact, we're not even aware of the element itself. We're just in it.
But what is this element?
Well, okay.
That has no limit, and that he goes on to say, you cannot leave it. If you leave it, you die.
Right. Earlier this summer, I was informed that my dad had a heart attack, right? And I was at work, and I was in the middle of getting a lot of stuff done, and I just got a call from my uncle, and he said, you need to call me like now. So I called him and said, your dad just had a heart attack. I think you need to drop everything and head over to Philadelphia to the emergency room. And instantly, and of course, the moment that happened, I had 3 people coming to me with work-related things that had to get done as well. And for a moment, I was completely dissociated. I was totally numb. It's like I was in shock a little bit, and I sort of saw myself at a distance, trying to answer the questions people were doing with me, and I wasn't there. I was kind of going through the motions, And then I sort of excused myself. And just sort of went to a corner, and I just kind of just collected myself. And I said, okay, now I need to, this is why I've been doing this, right, for a moment like this, right? People need me right now. And I need to kind of move through this in a way that's true to everything, right, including my own experience at the moment, And I was able to move through that and actually go there and really, meet my dad, meet my other relatives where they needed to be, and I was able to be there. At a certain point, it wasn't. I really wasn't even aware of, is this. I wasn't denying anything. I wasn't trying to force any. I mean, I really wasn't. I don't know. It was just, this is the situation, and this is how I need to respond, just moment to moment, until I can actually get a sense of distance, so I can sort of reflect on what just happened.
So would you say that was using things in a large way or in a small way?
Upon reflection, I'd say it was using things in the only way I could at the moment, large or small.
Okay, may your life go well.
Thank you for your teaching.
So basically what it comes down to is that you've got a whole bunch of people that are searching for enlightenment, but they've never lived life. I'm sure some of them have. And there was one woman that had been all around the world, like you could tell, but had never, it seemed like never really had like a difficult time ever.
Right.
And, I could be wrong, but that's the take that I got. I'm like, these people have never seen necessarily or experienced true suffering. Like, it was just kind of like, yeah, that's how I felt. Like, holy first world problems,
So in your opinion, or in your, what did that saying mean to you? Like, if you had an opportunity to jump in line and get up in front of this dude, what would you have said to him?
I would have been like, well, all right, a fish doesn't even know it's swimming in water, first off. A bird doesn't even know it's flying in the air, because that's what birds do. That's what fish do. They swim and birds fly. And their environment, regardless of what it is, it's not limiting to them because it's what their environment is. So also, if you allow those limits to limit you, then you're not really living life either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, the one guy, he was on to something when he was talking about fish are fish, birds are birds, and people are people. People don't have the same restraints as animals do. Just don't. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we can transcend those limits. And that's what I got out of it, is that if you're going to allow, there's a freaking woodpecker flying, you know what I mean? He doesn't, this is air. He's not going to go hop in the water. Anyway, it's about not being limited, and truly being open to all of it, and not being penned in by your limiting beliefs created by you, the people around you, and your environment. And if you can transcend those, you can live a full life. And it doesn't matter. They talk about the big and the small of it, and that's one of the things that the abbot was focusing on, is if you want to be big, you can be big, and if you want to be small, you can be small. But you can do both at the same time too. It's really about not being limited by it. Don't allow yourself to be limited by
Your constraints.
Because really the constraints are just artificial anyway.
Right.
That was what I wanted to get up and be like, all right, everybody listen for 1 second. Here's what we're saying.
Me, the guy with the great big white shirt on.
This is what we're talking about. All right. Because I've had plenty of come to Jesus moments in my life, and done a lot of introspection on stuff that's just like this. I just never put it in some creepy mantric 13th century reciting of that was translated, loosely translated as what this guy just read. Don't limit yourself to what you can do, folks. That's what it comes down to.
What would you have said, Andrew?
I honestly was just trying to keep up at that point. Yeah.
I wish you guys could have seen that or heard it.
It was different. That was that. When I say it was different, that's what I meant.
Yeah, and that chick, was like, it's all about me, man.
Yep.
Look at me.
Yeah.
说相信 I am perfect and complete like vast space. Damn it! I just lost another deal. I need ice cream.
So, how is that complete? Well, how could you express it in a way that would be meaningful to those who are here for the first time without killing it?
Yeah. I am vast. I contain the multitudes.
Okay. So when you lose that deal, lose it with your whole heart and body.
Just gonna eat my ice cream.
Okay. The important thing is, I feel the vitally important thing is to plumb the depths of this truth and completely integrate it with what Dyson was talking about. Because this is our world, right? And as practitioners, it's very important we not sit on this mountain and look down at a world, right, that we think is not our world or is not our experience of our world. That's why it's so important. That's part of what Sangha is and needs to be, right? People from everywhere, from every experience, who've had every kind of life, who live in every kind of world, so that in a very vivid way that creates imperative, we realize that the world we live in is the world we live in. It's not other people's worlds. And these worlds differ tremendously. And some are used in a large way and some are used in a very small way. Some are kept large, some are kept small. And that we really, expressing truths in ways that are not explanatory need to be embodied in ways that are recognizable and tangible. May your life go well.
Thank you for your teaching.
There was 2 or 3 people that got up there because it was all about look at me, look at me.
Yeah, it
had
was a spotlight.
nothing to do with
Spotlight on them, yeah.
And with Zen Buddhism, yeah, it's about you to an extent, but it's also about the greater world and how we're all connected, and I'm a full believer in that, as Eddie is well aware. I soak it all in, man.
So my struggle, and the more I'm learning about this, there's certain things about the teaching and the methodology and all that I like, and a lot of things that I don't like. So I like the idea of learning the practice of being still, learning to just be still and just not clear your mind, but just take a breath and not feel so, I need to do this, I need to do that.
You're
and just
in control of it as well.
Right. I like that aspect of it. But I'm also realizing that
it's empowering.
Mm-hmm.
People, like actual practitioners, people that do this all as what they do in their life, in a lot of ways it's very selfish, because it is. Being Zen is about introspection. It's about learning about you and about where you fit in the world, but at the same time you can be so self-involved. Like people that are they might be one with the world and one with nature and their environment and one with everything and not speak to anybody and be completely Zenned out. But what value are they providing to people around them? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's once it's almost like limiting in the. I think though, if we really knew about the hierarchy, that once you get to a certain point, it's you need to get to a certain point to actually have the ability to be a full value.
Yeah.
And I think that showed in the questions that were asked. If you look at the color of the robes, the people that were more lay people asked stupid fucking questions.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's no, you know, they say there's no such thing as stupid questions, but there is.
There are.
Yeah.
And so they asked or didn't. They weren't very affluent in the way they asked their questions. Meaning, the guy had to, the abbot really had to like pull stuff out of him.
But at the same time, he had to pull stuff out of him. But they used 900 words when 3 would have sufficed.
3 would have sufficed because I haven't gotten to the point
Yep.
where they know how to express themselves.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like talking to a 5-year-old versus talking to a teenager.
Right.
The teenager, for the most part, can express to you why they're pissed in like 3 words.
Yeah.
Whereas a 5-year-old
Yep.
is going to cry and kick and scream and yell. And that was evident
Yeah.
within because the one guy who got up there that had a black robe on, he made the most sense because, and I'm telling you, it's because he's farther along the path.
Right.
He's clearly thought about it
Right.
significantly more.
more.
Even if it's a question that just just popped into his head, he's still
Was able to articulate that, and
He had all the
everybody
causal
kind of
links.
got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, let's not go into what he was talking about, but at the end of the day, he could still articulate that way better than. And I thought that the last guy too, he articulated his thing. He was an older gentleman too. His question on premise is more about like an afterlife, almost sort of type of. If you guys remember, I don't know if you
And
remember.
I think that they said something. The abbot said something at the very beginning of that Darma interaction or whatever, that it was going to be like one of the really most senior people to begin it and one of the really most senior people to end it.
Yeah.
So it bookended really well.
Right. And for me, I think.
And did you see they put the guy in the black robe?
Yep.
Like he came up after, but they put him midway in.
Yep.
I think to kind of break it up because
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you could just see the abbot when he looked at a couple of them. He
Yep.
was like, and basically he was like, "So what's your question?"
Yeah. Why? Why?
Like, you know, it was kind of funny.
Yeah. So to me, the whole, after hearing that story a couple different times and after you just read, I think your rendition of that, Andrew, is more clear than the one he even read. But basically, to me, it's like, you know, I think we all, as humans, we live in multiple paradigms simultaneously, right? And those paradigms are represented in the story by the ocean and the air. And it's being experienced by 2 living creatures, a fish and a bird. And to your point, Bennett, the fish doesn't know he's living in water. And the only time the fish realizes he's living in water is when he's taken out of it, right?
Right.
The same
And
thing
he's
with
like,
the
"Holy
bird,
shit."
right? And the bird doesn't realize he's flying in water or in air until if he, you know, drowns in
And,
the
and,
water.
and that's what they said. If they're taken out of it, they'll
They'll
immediately
die.
die.
Immediately
Right.
die.
So-
Yep.
And where I see that being that the paradigm is right at the fringes of the air and the water is where life thrives. What I mean by that is, you know, birds fly over the water and they drop seeds or whatever they're eating, and the fish eat that as food. Or even the bird dies and falls into the water and decomposes, and
or
it turns
the bird
into
eats the fish, or you know,
right.
there's
And then
so
the
many
bird eats
different-
the fish, and so if the fish gets too close to the surface, the bird eats the fish. So there's this thriving of life that happens where the 2 meet, or even, you know, sun is of the air, and sun helps create algae, and fish eat the algae. So what's interesting is where life happens to be thriving the most is also where death seems to be happening the most as well, right?
Yeah.
And I think the higher you fly in the sky, the more comfortable you are in your element, and the deeper in the sea you are as a fish, the more comfortable you are in your element. But to live right there on the fringes, that's where the advantages and disadvantages reside together harmoniously, right? And it's just like a relationship, a husband and a wife. It's almost like you, in order to have a good working relationship, you almost have to be on the fringes of that in your life, understanding that there's a give and a take. But that's kind of, to me, what that meant. But then again, I'm not a Zen master or whatever, so it was really, really interesting, to say the least. And then Yeah, and then we closed the session out and did another few chant sessions. And then
A little bit more bowing.
More bowing, lots more bowing, and then
I decided not to get on the floor anymore.
yeah,
I noticed that.
I just bowed. I'm like, I'm good. I'm
That
not
was
gonna
it.
get down on the floor. So
let's just real quick. The three of
and
us-
then we didn't eat.
No.
They had a
No,
communal
yeah,
lunch
they had
and
like
we
a-
decided not to eat, but
yeah.
it was like soup and whatever, and we're like, let's go eat at
Yeah.
Oreo 9, and it was delicious.
It was
yeah,
great.
it was. So, what was your big takeaway, Bennett, of this whole experience?
that I really need to bring Zen meditation into my life. I don't need all the pomp and other stuff, but I do need the actual simplistic nature of the meditation versus the meditation that I normally do, which is more of a visualization and stuff. I need to mix it up.
Yeah.
And I think that doing that will actually enhance. It'll bring. It'll help calm me the fuck down a little.
Yeah.
Because part of the problem that I have is that my life is very active with all the kids and Eddie and Mike Penny and Andrew McDowell, and I literally juggling like 4 people texting like 9 hours a day. No, I mean, and shit's hectic, right? So I need to take that and do a half an hour a day, which I already do, but I need to mix in this one where I don't have to think about anything, just
Right.
literally looking at myself and going,
Just be.
Yeah.
instead of really trying to visualize things or have gratitude and forgiveness and everything else, which is all great, but it's nice to mix it up a little bit.
Yep. I agree. And what about you, Andrew?
I think the immediacy is really what I need to incorporate, right? I mean, it was about just being and just being there, kind of like you said.
Yeah, and so simple to get there.
But in my job, I'm managing this project and that project, and I have 70 grantees that I need to manage, and everybody needs something at every second, every day, like you were
Right.
talking about.
And they all need it
Right now, and 99% of it is stupid bullshit that could wait an hour or two.
Right.
And just turning that off and just being present for myself.
Eddie
It's
and I
pretty
had that
clutch.
conversation the other day where it was like everything is so instantaneous now, and
Makes me crazy.
it makes me crazy too.
Mm.
I was driving in my car talking to Eddie. I'm like, okay, I get to take a deep breath. We get to talk about some stuff.
Yeah.
But then my phone starts blowing up. One of them's my mom. I've got a veteran. Somebody else is texting me about a veteran in crisis, and it's like, it's all fine and dandy, and I'm like, I can't talk right now.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you have to do that,
Yep.
and this is part of that.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah, I think the advent of technology is good, but it's
Considering what we're doing
Yeah.
right now,
Yep.
it's pretty cool.
But it's
what about
taught
you?
us. Well, it's taught us that immediacy is expected, right?
Yeah.
And at work, I'll literally get a phone call, I'll pick up my phone, and somebody will say, "Oh, did you get the email I just sent you?" I'm like, it's like, dude, you just hit send and you picked up your phone. Like,
Why didn't you just call me?
yeah,
Yep.
it's just, but to your point, like everybody expects everything right here, right now.
Yeah.
And for me, this was just an opportunity to get together, meet Andrew for the first time, meet you for the second time, big lug, in your big orange shirt, and hang out.
Come in like a blaze of glory, baby.
Yeah, and hang out with you guys and do something.
Like a John Bon Jovi song.
That's my first, the most value I got out of it was the actual Buddha room, where he kind of talked about, kind of went through, here's what you do, and here's how you hold your hands,
And
and
here's
here's
Zen
how
why.
meditation
But here's
101.
why,
Yeah.
and
Right.
this is why. And that's what it was.
Yeah.
Zen meditation 101, and here's why we hold our hands
Yeah.
like this, and this is why you breathe the way that you breathe, and that was badass.
Yeah.
It really was. And I would encourage anybody to be able to do it on that level.
Right, yep.
But the rest of it, it's all fine and dandy, but
yeah,
here's the other thing, and this is one of the things that I want to put forward. It's not like that every day.
mm,
This is what they do on Sundays.
right,
You know what I mean?
right,
Wednesdays, he was telling us, Mondays and Wednesdays, and there was one other day too. It's just people come and they meditate.
Mhm.
Right.
And that's it.
yeah,
For like an hour, and I'd be like, hell to the
An hour of
yes.
perfect stillness,
Yes.
though.
Yes.
That's so hard.
That's hard.
Yeah.
But again, that type of stuff is the shit that puts you outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And it makes you grow. It makes you understand that, man, my legs are killing me right now.
Right.
But I'm going to suck it up.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, you go, wow, man, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's just those little things you don't really think. I mean, us in the military, we suck a lot of stuff up.
Yeah, you learn to
But
embrace
it's
a
still
lot
different.
of it.
I kept thinking, and I wanted to lean over and nudge you and go, embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Embrace the suck. That's all he's saying to do is embrace the suck.
That's really all it is, yeah.
And you know what? I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've actually gotten away from that. But doing it today made me open that back up and go, man,
Yeah.
Yeah.
embracing the suck kind of rocks a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's all.
That's cool, man. Well, that's about it for our show.
Cool.
Thanks for hanging out with us on Sunday
Yeah, man.
afternoon.
It's
I don't
good.
know
It's
when
fun.
this show is going to be released, but I'm kind of anxious to see if they actually published our little chant session
The
today.
podcast. We'll see.
Yeah. I'll wait a couple weeks and see if that comes
I
out.
doubt it will even take that long, but
Yeah.
you never know.
I bet you they roll them.
I probably do. So that's it, man. Any parting words?
I don't.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for we'll have you on and talk. We'll
Sure.
grill you a little bit more
All
about.
right.
60-day
Yeah,
challenge.
yeah. It'll be less.
your
It'll be
brother on,
less
too.
zen like. But
We'll be less relaxed.
Yeah.
all right, folks. Well, I hope you enjoyed this special episode of Change Your POV Podcast. Tune in next week as we talk about. I have no idea what, but you will enjoy it.
It'll be
I'm
something.
sure. So you can check out all the show notes page for this episode. I don't even have an episode number for this show yet, but you can check it out. We'll have links there.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, hit subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and come be part of our community over at
Change Your POV Podcast.
Change Your POV, which is our Facebook page, or our community group is Change Your POV Squad. Squad. Come be a member of our squad. All kinds of ridiculousness happens over there.
Dumbass.
All right, folks. Thank you, and until next time.
Thanks for listening to Change Your POV Podcast with Eddie Lazary. Check out more content by going to changeyourpov.com. And remember, your ability and willingness to change your point of view will open doors of opportunity.